Hello friends, I hope everybody's doing well. Okay, so in part 2 of the second Toro, I got it done. It starts up, everything's fine. I painted the side covers here. I cleaned it up a little bit, seems to be fine. And then at the end of part 2 of this machine, I decided to start this up, the first one that we did, because it has a broken primer bulb. And it took like 6 starts to start it, 6 pulls rather, to start it up, and we got it started up. And then I shut it off. Then I continued putting the other blower back together. And I said, let me see how it starts now. I went to start it up again. Wouldn't start. So I thought maybe it was flooded, so I disconnected the fuel line. I gave it some pulls, still didn't start. Then I thought maybe there was something wrong with the carburetor. This is the one that I didn't clean the carburetor on. This is the first Toro that we did. So I took the carburetor off, took it all apart. Wasn't even dirty. I cleaned it all up, put it back on. Still no start. Then I said to myself, well, either the shut-off switch here that I had to rewire, something wrong there or something. So I ended up having to take the cover off, as you can see. I disconnected the kill switch. Still nothing. So I took the spark plug boot off, pulled the spark plug out. It has no spark. Now the magneto, oh, these things here, you know, if you want to work on the stage 2 blowers, I mean, they're nothing like this, you know. These paddle blowers are a real pain to work on. I have to tell you that right now. But so what I intend to do now is I'm going to start taking it apart, and then I'm just going to set up the camera the best I can. Now I know the gas tank has to come out, and then there's a gas tank bracket here. We're just going to have to keep taking stuff apart till we get it out, because what I'm going to have to do is take the starter housing off. It's got 2 nuts up there with studs. As a matter of fact, we use one of the studs for the ground wire. And then I know it has a bolt here. And it has a bolt underneath on this one that's missing. So somebody's been in there before. So what I'm going to do is I'll take the coil out of the donor over here. So I'm just going to start the video. I'm going to try to set this camera up the best I can. And we'll begin by pulling the gas tank off. And after I pull the gas tank off, I'm probably going to have to take this mounting bracket off also. I don't see any way of getting the mounting bracket off unless I pull the tank off first. So, alright, so let's get down to it and start ripping her down. To tell you guys the truth, and girls, if it wasn't for making a video for you after I saw this didn't have spark, I probably would have just put it in the scrap pile, because I really don't even have time to mess around with stuff like this right now. But I just want to make a video so you guys can see how to do it in case you want to go to this extent of, you know, changing a coil in one of these. I just highly suggest I put the wrench on the bolt here. You can't even hardly see what I'm doing here, because I can't either, you know. So we have 2 nuts and bolts that are holding the tank on, that are going to the mounting bracket. Oh boy. It's really tight quarters, guys. This thing is really hard to work on. Steve the transit camper made me laugh too, because I think we were doing the first one. Yeah, we were working on this one, He said after about 10 minutes of seeing what I went through, you got to take all the cover. He said he would have quit in 10 minutes doing this. Well, Steve, I don't blame you. Keep doing your stealth camping trips. You're much better off. Okay, so there's another nut in the bolt here somewhere. Wasn't there? Yeah, there is. It's back here. The starter wire cable's going to it. I think once we take the starter shroud off here to get to the coil, we might be able to see what's going on, because the starter, as I mentioned in the other video, is freewheeling. So maybe we can do something with that while I have it apart. I don't even know if I can get the wrench on this nut here. Oh yeah, I can. Yeah, this is pretty much like a ridiculous thing to work on. I have part of the tripod in the blower here. You know, I just shortened the leg on it so you can see what's going on. It's like, this is really tough to film, but I'll do the best I can for you. It's better that the coil went now instead of when you're, you know, selling it. What kind of complicated thing is this here now? I could actually leave that bolt in there and I'll just put the nut back in. Oh no, I can't. Gotta take that out. Okay, we got that out. Yeah, this machine's been fiddle-farried. There's just bolts missing and everything on this thing. Alright, so we got the tank out. I never connected the fuel line because I was trying to start it. I thought maybe it was flooded, like the other one was doing that time. So I got the fuel tank out. As you can see, I have the fuel line blocked off here, and I'll be right back to you in a minute. I think we start taking the shroud off now. Okay, so I'm going to take these two nuts off the top here. All these, all three machines that I got from my buddy there, they were all Briggs & Stratton 2-strokes. It was a big rookie mistake of mine. Had to check to see if it's a 2-stroke or a 4-cycle. A 4-cycle will always have like an oil dipstick and a crankcase drain for regular oil. I don't know what I was thinking that day, but try to get this wire off here. This is the wire. I had to drill the eye out because it wouldn't fit. So we got that off. Okay, so I can go ahead. Like I said, these are 3/8 socket. This is a 3/8 socket I'm using here. And it looks like this is really stuck. This bolt. And there's a bolt on the bottom here, which if I can't see it, you're not going to see it, but that's missing anyway. So somebody's been in here. Oh, this is slotted. That's good. All right. Okay, so another problem we're going to run into here now is the pull start cord. But no, that's not a problem because I just pull this whole thing out of the way here. I don't have to take the shroud, you know, all the way off. Okay, so alright, that's cool. I don't know if there's anything else holding this. Well, sort of. Should I just bend this away? Or am I going to have a problem? No, I'm not going to bend it. No, we're not going to do it that way. That's doing it. Where the heck did this other brace come off of? There's one here for the starter wire that I know. And where was this at? That's a mystery. I mean, I'll have to look back on the film and see what I did there. Because I don't remember taking any nut or anything off this to pull the starter wire off. So, alright, so I have these two under here now. I imagine they're 2 nuts and bolts. Yeah, they're 2 nuts and bolts, so I'll have to undo those. And I think they're 7/16. Give it a little WD. Oh, my back. Alright, so this bracket here. Let me see if I can bring this, swing you around a little bit. I'll be right back. I think that's a little better. Like I said, I can't even see what's going on here practically. This is not the bolt off. Oh shit, I'm sorry guys. See what I mean? This is really hard. Sorry I cursed again. I was still on the air. I got to see what's going on with this film here now, with this video. I'll be right back. Okay, so the camera fell and I said the S word, but I'm going to cut that part out. It was the end of that first segment there because I must have bumped into the tripod and the camera fell. Alright, let's see if I can trip over the camera now and make it fall again. Oh, this is like Benny Hill here. Oh my gosh. Alright, so I'm going to have to put this wrench on this bolt back here somehow. Don't worry, I'm going to spare you the grief. I'll go as far as taking the coil out, and then when I put it together, I'm just going to put it together because I don't want this to be a 2-hour video here, because it's probably going to be a 2-hour job. Now the socket's stuck. Now the nut is stuck in the socket. I'll be right back. Okay, so let's continue. Yeah, this bracket here, is the gas tank bracket, has to come out. Has to come off, so. I have to get the wrench on the bolt back here. And then we'll just spin this off and we get that bracket off. I found where that other part of the wire goes. It goes to the other gas tank bracket. I think after this we'll be able to pull that starter shroud off the housing. You gotta stand on your head to get this thing apart. Good thing I filmed this stuff right here. Probably gonna need it to put it back together. Alright, so I think we can pull that out off now. Okay. That's cool. Alright, so I'm gonna have to pull the rope out. I just set this back here. And how very nice, the coil is right here. I'm not going to bother to clean the coil or anything like that. I think I have to get this off with a wrench. Looks like it's 3/8, guys. I'm going to have to go get the 3/8 set up and we'll pull the coil off. This isn't as bad as it looks, but I'm not going to talk too soon. Let me see if you're in range of the coil itself here. Yeah, you are. Alright. Alright, so this one I have to use a wrench on because the flywheel's in the way here. So, take this one out first. I'm going to pull a coil off of the donor blower, and I'll do that, of course, off camera. Okay, so we got one more bolt to take off this here. How the heck's this thing work? I guess like any other one. Here's the magnet here. I'll clean the magnet up real good and everything. But the coil's probably burned out, I would say. I'm not even going to chance trying to... I'll be able to test the other coil before we put anything together. I'll just spin the flywheel here and make sure it's got spark. This wire runs down here like so. I'm looking to make sure, because when we put the cover back on the starter housing, I don't want to crush the wire. We'll disconnect our connector here, if it'll come off. Everything's stuck. Oh goodness. Let me get a screwdriver for that. I'll get right back to you. I'll pop off the coil and we'll take a good look at it. Okay, so this is the only contact on the coil here. It doesn't even look that dirty, so I'm sure the coil's probably burned out. So I'm going to go ahead and take the coil off the donor and I'll get back to you. As we continue it's the next day now. I checked out the starter because we have the starter housing off, and it's got a plastic gear on the starter which is worn down completely. So we're not going to adjust that. I'm not going too crazy with this machine. Like I said, I'm not going to be asking much for it. Plus we're in so deep with this thing right now. Another thing I noticed was the starter housing cover here is cracked. So when I took the coil out of the donor, that one's cracked just like this too. So I'm just going to put a big washer on here, and I guess they all crack obviously. So what I've done so far is I've the machine tilted back right now so I could show you the starter. I took the other coil off the donor, and I'm noticing that the wire runs towards the front of the engine. Let me get this thing tilted back up so we can. Let me move this thing out of the way here. Sorry about all this shaking here. Okay, so I cleaned off the surface of the flywheel here, the magnetic part. That has to be clean. That's what makes the contact to the coil. So I cleaned up that little surface of the coil, which was a lot dirtier than the one we took off this thing. But I was able to spin it. I was holding the screwdriver into the wire, and I could feel a little shock from it. I couldn't spin the flywheel, quick enough. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to continue with putting on the starter cover here, and then we have this mounting bracket, and I'll show you something with the mounting bracket when we get to it. Okay, so I put it together enough so we could try to start it. Anyway, this is actually an engine support here, and it also is a bracket for the gas tank. And when I took it apart, the nut and washer was missing out of here. So I put a washer on here and I put a nut on here. Alright, so I got it prepared enough to start it. Like I was telling you before, the spark plug wire, I think you can say it. Yeah, it comes up through the shroud this way, which I think that's the right way. And the old one I took out, it looked like somebody probably changed the coil at one time, but the wire on the coil they put on here wasn't long enough, because the wire used to come out the back here. So that's all that was different with the coil. Okay, so I prepared it enough to try to start it. What I did was I cleaned the plug. That was a good used plug that I put in there, and I sprayed some brake clean in there to prime it. I'm not going to go ahead and put the rest of this together. I'm not putting the gas tank back on or anything like that until I know it starts. So let's see, keep our fingers crossed and see if this thing will run again. I'll set up the camera. We'll try to give it some pulls and see if it'll start. Alright, let's try it. Like I think I said previously in the video, I took the carburetor off and cleaned it, but it wasn't really dirty anyway. But I did that first because it's a pain to get to the spark plug on this without taking the whole top cover off. So I couldn't see if it was getting spark until I took the cover off, and then I saw it had no spark. Let's see what happens now with this hunk of junk. Now it doesn't want to start. I don't know what happened to it. Unless the coil I put in there bad also. I don't know. I'll have to check it for spark. I'll hook up the spark tester and see if I can see anything going on. I'll get back to you. Well, it doesn't seem to be getting spark, but I know when I was spinning the flywheel by hand and I had the Phillips head screwdriver and the spark plug boot, I felt some kind of spark. Maybe it wasn't enough. I don't know. Anyway, if it's a bad coil off the donor, I know I'm not buying the coil for it. But I have to search here. Maybe I do have a coil for it laying around, but I highly doubt it. I think I have like lawnmower coils for Briggs & Stratton and Tecumseh and Hondas and stuff like that, but nothing that resembles these coils. But I'll have a look and see. Well, I found another donor under the tarp out here. I know this one needs a lot of work, but it seems to have the same engine. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to prime it, see if I can get it going, and then this way I can pull the coil and use the coil on the other, the bigger one. This is a small one. It's not even worth fixing compared to the other one. It has the same engine, you know, the Artec engine, the Briggs & Stratton. So hopefully the coil will fit. But we're going to start this thing up. I'll prime it, make sure the coil works. Now with the other donor, the pull cord was broke, so I couldn't test the coil. So, alright, I'll be right back to you. I'll give it a couple shots of brake thing to see if we can get this thing to fire. The keys on. I don't know when the last time this thing ran. 3-4 years ago maybe. I have no idea. Yeah, it wants to go already, it seems. Yeah, coil's good in it. Alright, so we know we have a good coil, so I'll go ahead and pull the coil out of this and put it in the other one and see how we make out. I could also use the primer bulb for that one too. Remember I said I was going to order one after I made sure the belt was alright on the second Toro, but I'm going to try to salvage everything off this one. Alright, I'll be back to you soon. So I got the coil out of the second donor here. Okay, now the problem with this snowblower was the auger pads are shot. Also the gas tank mounting tabs that bolt to the bracket, they're broke off, so the gas tank was just dangling in there. And from what I remember, the carburetor was leaking like a sieve. But I mean that probably could have been fixed. But I figure we'll use the coil out of this one for a better snowblower. What else? Oh yeah, so in the meantime, I took the primer bulb out of the other one, but the clips in this don't clip into the dashboard properly. But once I put this cover on like I did, it's not going anywhere, so this one will be fine. And then I figured I'd use the newer ignition switch here. That fit in there fine. So what I want to do right now is I'm going to remove the second bad coil off this. And I want to show you how you mount the coil and how to adjust the coil on this. It's a little different than like the lawnmower engines and stuff. I just want to give you a couple of pointers on that and what to watch out for. So I'll be back in a minute. Okay, so I took the bad coil out, put it out of sight, out of mind. Okay, so what you want to do is this bolt here, it kind of goes behind the flywheel. So what I generally do is get the bolt started inside the coil first here, and then you can get it into position. And you could spin it back into the coil bracket here. Uh-oh. What the heck is going on here now? I have to take this back out again. I don't think I have the coil in there good. Okay. Okay, I had to take the bolt back out to get it to... Lawnmowers are much easier to work on than these pigs. This thing is just an absolute pig to work on. Alright, so I got that bolt in. And then I'll put the top bolt in. And the easiest way I found is take the spark plug out. So it doesn't have compression. So you could turn this flywheel fairly easy. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to lift this all the way up. I'm going to tighten the bolts. And then I'm going to show you what you have to do next. Okay, so you're going to lift up your coil to its highest point. You're going to tighten these bolts up. I'll just tighten the other one up too, just for moral support. Okay, so then you're going to bring the magnetic part of the flywheel back to where it makes contact with the coil. And what I had to do here is, normally you could just take a business card and you could slide it in. Okay, being that we have this flywheel here, I couldn't get the whole card to go in there. So what I did was I just cut the card. So you got just a sliver of the card to stick in there. And what I do is I stick the card in from the bottom here. Then you want to make sure you have the magnetic part to where it makes the contact with the coil. There's also one thing I noticed when I put the bare coil in it. What I did was when I loosened these and then the coil went down against the magnet, it was down too far. I couldn't turn the flywheel. It was locking up at one point. So you just want to make sure after you make this adjustment here, you want to make sure that you test it. Make sure the flywheel turns. Otherwise, if you put it back together without testing that, then you're going to have a pretty big problem. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to loosen this bolt here. And then I'll loosen this other one here. Okay, now it just clicked down and it's against the magnetic part of the flywheel. And then you want to just take and you want to tighten it up, and then you're going to want to test it and make sure you have good clearance. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to do like I did the last time. I'm going to put the starter shroud back on it, and then I'm just going to make sure that I might try to test it for spark right now, and I'll do that off camera. And then you can just slide your card back out through the bottom and make sure you have good clearance. Okay, so what I'm going to do, like I said, I'm going to put the starter shroud back on. I'm just going to get this enough to start it up. I'm not going to put the gas tank back in, just like you saw me do when we put the bare coil in here. And then I'll get back to you and we're going to test it and see if this thing will start up again. And I forgot to say, make sure you hook up your coil ground wire that goes to the kill switch. Make sure you hook that up before you put it together. Okay, now I stuck the Phillips head screwdriver in here, and I held it, and I just spun the flywheel, and I could feel some spark going through there. Okay, so I'll be back to you. Okay, I sprayed some brake clean down into the spark plug hole and I stuck the spark plug in and wish me luck. Turn the key on. Beautiful. Alright, so it's 2 bad coils. A lot of times with most machines, with lawnmowers and blowers and stuff like that, it's usually always like a dirty carburetor or a bad gas. But you do every once in a while run into a bad coil. I don't too often, but we had 2 bad coils in a row here. What I'm going to do right now is I'm going to finish completing this. I'm going to put it all back together, and then we'll start it back up again. And then I'll start the second Toro we did. I'll start that one up too, and it'll be the end of the video finally. Okay, so we didn't have to put any money into any of these 2 here, but I did put a lot of time in. But what I'm going to do now is I'm going to start up the one we put the coil in, the one that had the burned out coil. That one seems to be surging a little bit. I put a couple of shots of sea foam in that. We'll see if that clears up. And then I'm going to start up that second Toro that we did. Make sure that starts up okay, which I know it does, because I did have it started a little while ago. But I just want to let you guys see that they start up. All I can say is they're just time consuming to work on. They're just a big pain to work on. And alright, so I'm going to go ahead and start these 2 up, and then I'm going to close the video here. And I hope this video helps somebody out if you have to change the coil or anything like that. And I appreciate everybody watching, and I appreciate everybody's support. I want to thank everybody for watching. And I'm just going to shut the camera off after I shut these 2 blowers off. And stay safe, everybody. Thanks for watching, everybody. I'll see you guys on the next one.